Hey everyone, Ronan here. How have you guys been? This part has been a long time coming. I started writing this before I got sick, so it got put on the shelf for like 3 weeks, which sucks because I hate leaving things undone. But I think it's going to be worth the wait. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into part 2 of What If Indigo Champion Ash challenged the Johto League. I hope you enjoy. We pick back up with Team Ash. They are traveling through the mountains of the Johto region. Brock and Misty are telling Ash that he needs to stop relying on Charizard so much. His other Pokemon will eventually start to suffer. Ash tells them to mind their own business. His Pokemon are doing just fine. They are strong. After all, Chikorita and Gligar each won their individual battles in his gym battle with BUGSY. Brock tells Ash, true, but BUGSY even admitted that he was nervous during their battle. That could be a huge influence on the outcome of the battle. Ash tells Brock not to worry. He knows what he's doing. Remember, he's the champion of Kanto, so he does have an idea of what he is doing. Misty butts in. Remember, you may be champion, but you didn't get there on your own. You did have some help along the way, Ash. Ash just kind of blows off Misty's words, but they do sit with him in the back of his mind. The trio end up coming to a forest, in which in the center stands a large mountain. Brock reiterates that this is Mount Cana, the highest mountain in all of the Johto region. And of course, the trio get caught in a rainstorm, and they have to head to a cabin at the foot of the mountain to seek shelter, where they're introduced to Luna, a Pokemon naturalist and a guide around Mount Cana, and Cullen and Domino, who work for the Pokemon Institute, gathering data on the area. But Jesse, James, and Meowth are in hot pursuit of our heroes, and attempt to steal Pikachu when they let their guard down. When their attempt to capture Pikachu fails, and their balloon gets caught in a turbulent updraft of wind carrying them and Pikachu to the top of Mount Cana, Domino makes her presence known as a high-ranking admin in Team Rocket. When Ash and the group start to struggle to get to the top of Mount Cana by foot, Ash turns to Charizard. Ash releases it from its ball and explains what's going on. He mounts Charizard's back, and they head to the top of the mountain, leaving everyone behind. Ash and Charizard land on the island in the center of Lake Clarity that is at the top of Mount Cana. There, Ash and Charizard are met with a familiar presence. Mewtwo, Ash proclaims. Mewtwo, shocked by this, says, "You know me? But how?" "I erased your memory." Ash tells Mewtwo he doesn't know anything about that, but he knows Mewtwo is a threat. After all, their last encounter wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. This sentiment is backed by the fact that Ash's Charizard sees the clone Charizard, and it is showing aggression toward it, and Mewtwo. Mewtwo tries to explain that Ash's perception of the situation is wrong, and they don't have time for this, but Charizard lets out a loud roar, cutting Mewtwo off. Ash says, "What's the matter? You lost your taste for battle? I thought you were the world's greatest Pokemon master. Battle us." Mewtwo then scans Ash's mind to see if this is truly the same boy that once changed his views on the world. And indeed it is. But Mewtwo sees that this boy has had a lot of growth since their last encounter, even going as far as becoming the champion of the Kanto region. But then Mewtwo sees it, how Pikachu has gone missing. Mewtwo asks Ash, did he forget the reason he was here? Ash then remembers Pikachu. He almost forgot, blinded by his urge to stop Mewtwo and the threat that Ash thinks he is. Ash then turns to Charizard, but before Ash can utter a single word, Charizard attacks its clone counterpart. The clone takes to the sky, and Charizard gives chase. Ash calls to Charizard, but it's no use. Charizard is focused. It wants revenge for the humiliating loss it had, and it's blinded by rage. Charizard attacks the clone relentlessly. The clone can barely defend itself. It's clear that Charizard is far stronger than their last encounter. Mewtwo then has no choice. It releases the psychic blocks that it had placed on the clone, unleashing its full power. This battle quickly becomes one-sided, as the clone's speed and strength increases fivefold, and it takes control, putting Charizard in the ground with its seismic toss, just like before. Ash rushes to Charizard's side as the clone lands next to Mewtwo, but Charizard stands back up. It's ready for more. Then, off in the distance, they hear the blades of several helicopters as they rush towards the island. Ash asks, "Who's that?" Mewtwo replies, "We're out of time. He's here." Over with Misty, Brock, Cullen, and Luna, they have finally reached the top of Mount Cana, and they are fighting their way through the dense forest when they are met with Team Rocket grunts. Though Brock and Misty are powerful trainers in their own right, they are eventually overpowered by the sheer numbers of the Rocket grunts and are captured. Back on the island, Ash and Mewtwo are greeted by the head of Team Rocket himself, Giovanni. As Giovanni steps out of the plane, he says, My, I wasn't expecting to have this level of an audience. The champion of the Kanto region? Why, what are you doing here in the Johto region?" Giovanni, with his vast resources, is fully aware of Ash and who he is. You see, now that Ash is champion, Giovanni has been keeping close tabs on him, actually ordering Jesse and James and Meowth to follow him and report back any and all activity. But this is the first time Ash has met Giovanni and demands to know who he is. Mewtwo then interrupts Ash. Ash, he is called Giovanni, the leader of Team Rocket and the one who ordered my creation. Ash says what? It then clicks that everything Mewtwo was a hostile force. It was due to Giovanni. Ash now turns his full attention to Giovanni. You're right. I am the champion, he proclaims. And as so, I'm telling you that you have no business here, Giovanni. So, you can take your goons and leave this place. Mewtwo is my problem. Giovanni just laughs, puzzling Ash. Why isn't this entertaining, he says. The big bad champion of Kanto thinks he has some authority over me. Let me explain something to you, boy. Even if we were in Kanto, your position doesn't mean anything. Your title as champion is just that, a title. I am Giovanni, leader of Team Rocket, and I have been doing this for far longer than you have been alive. And as far as Mewtwo, I funded its creation, its training. I am the sole purpose it exists. As such, he is my property, and I have come to claim what is mine. Mewtwo then declares that it is its own master, and it belongs to no one. As Mewtwo attacks Giovanni, he once again laughs as two machines appear, canceling out the attack and capturing Mewtwo all in one sweep. Ash yells, Mewtwo! Then he demands that Giovanni release it. Giovanni is now becoming annoyed by Ash and tells him to leave Mewtwo. It is his property, and so are all the other clone Pokemon on the island. Giovanni orders all the grunts and Domino to gather up the rest of the clones at once. Ash watches as all the clones are captured, because all of them have had their powers psychically weakened by Mewtwo. All except for the clone Charizard. It is fighting back. Ash then makes a bold move. He steps to Giovanni, challenging him, with Charizard and Pikachu to back him up. Giovanni then turns to Ash. You know, it really agitated me when you won a badge and cost me my gym. And since you're so adamant about stopping me, I'll give you a sporting chance. If you can beat me in battle, then I'll leave. But if you lose, I will lock you away where no one will ever find you, and all of your Pokemon shall be mine. Ash, severely overconfident, accepts the challenge and goes with Charizard and Pikachu. The oversight on Ash's part that Charizard was still weak from the battle with its clone will cost him dearly. Giovanni chooses to use his trademark Persian and his Golem. This battle doesn't last long. Pikachu gets taken out swiftly by Persian, and it becomes clear that even at full strength, Charizard couldn't match the Golem. During his battle with Golem, Charizard is unable to dodge a rock slide at point blank range, severely injuring it. This breaks Ash inside. How could Giovanni be so strong? He's on a whole nother level, and Ash is so spaced out that he isn't even paying attention to the battle. Charizard is getting wrecked by Golem, and Giovanni is loving every minute of it. Charizard finally goes down, unable to defend itself any longer, and Giovanni orders Golem to end Charizard. Golem stands there and fires another rock slide towards it that connects, leaving a cloud of dust. Giovanni then turns to Ash. Now do you see just how outmatched you are, boy? You never stood a chance, and it cost you your Charizard. Ash looks at the cloud of dust. He can see an outline of a Pokemon and a flame on its tail. Ash thinks, Charizard? But as the dust settles, Ash's Charizard lays unconscious. But standing between it and Golem is the clone Charizard. It intercepted the rock slide at the last minute, protecting Ash's Charizard. Ash doesn't understand. Why did this clone protect his Charizard? Then, in his mind, he hears a voice. He knows this voice. It's Mewtwo. Ash, that's what I was trying to tell you. We clones don't want to fight. We just want to live freely. But Giovanni only wants power, and he will stop at nothing to get it. Only now does Ash realize what a fool he's been. Giovanni doesn't play by rules. No code of ethics. No moral compass. Ash was going to lose this battle from the start, and he didn't see it until it was too late. And even worse, his arrogance got his Pokemon hurt. The clone Charizard takes his turn at battling with Giovanni. It does put up a good fight, but when Giovanni orders Persian back in, it is unable to overpower the two Pokemon and Giovanni's overwhelming amount of battle experience, and it too falls, resulting in the capture of the last bit of resistance on the island. Giovanni orders Domino to take them all to the holding cells as they begin constructing the island into Team Rocket's newest Johto base of operations. In the cell, Ash finally meets up with his friends. Pikachu is in a bad way, but Charizard is in even worse shape and unresponsive. If it doesn't get help soon, it may be too late. Then, Colin approaches Ash and tells him that he was able to get a sample of the water here, and if they can get Charizard to the purest source of the water, it might save it. Ash thinks, great, but how do we do that when we are locked in here? Meanwhile, Domino and the rest of the grunts are distracted as they haze Jesse and James and Meowth for being worthless, as they were assigned cleaning duty. Their distraction gives Ash, Misty, and Brock time to formulate a plan to break out. Misty and Brock are able to get Ash's Pokeballs and let out Gligar and Chikorita. The two Pokemon are able to break the restraints of Ash and the others with Razor Leaf and Guillotine. With everyone free, Brock and Misty run a diversion to draw the attention of Team Rocket, while Ash gets Pikachu and Charizard to the water. Brock sends out Steelix, Aerodactyl, and Kangaskhan. Misty sends out her Staryu and her Poliwag, and they get to work. With the help of the clone Pokemon, Brock and Misty are able to capture the attention of everyone except for Domino. She was tasked with watching Ash by Giovanni, and she failed with her negligence, so she is headed after him. Ash is heading up the winding stairway to the mineral spring with Pikachu in one hand and Charizard's ball in the other. Ash has Chikorita, Gligar, and Wartortle out for protection, as well as Cullen and Luna in tow. They finally reach the spring. Cullen and Luna immediately begin running tests on the water, while Ash puts Pikachu in the water. As Pikachu wasn't badly injured, the effects of the spring are almost immediately as Pikachu wakes up. Ash is relieved, but before he has time to celebrate and put Charizard in the water, he and everyone are met with more capture rings and dropped to the ground. Domino caught up to them. Ash, realizing he could be out of time, tries to plead with Domino. With tears in his eyes, he asks her to at least let Charizard out of its ball into the water to save it. But this falls on deaf ears. Domino doesn't care about that. After all, she doesn't even have a Pokemon of her own. Ash continues to appeal to Domino, but she ignores him. Ash continues to appeal to Domino as she continues to ignore him. But all of this attention motion is having an effect on someone. Chikorita. Remember, Ash saved its life from Team Rocket, so it's developed a deep disdain for them and a certain affection for Ash. His cries are all the motivation Chikorita needs. It responds by glowing brightly and shattering its restraints, capturing a new level of power with its evolution into Bayleaf. With Bayleaf's new power, it is able to fend off Domino and break the restraints of everyone. Ash thanks Bayleaf for its help. Bayleaf is just happy that Ash is happy. Ash wastes no more time and throws Charizard's ball, releasing it into the water, hoping it's not too late, but Charizard is unresponsive. Ash begins to let out tears, asking Charizard to wake up, telling it he needs it to wake up, but nothing. As Ash's eyes begin to well up with tears, one of them falls into the water, and suddenly it starts to glow. Back with Misty, Brock, and the others, the battle is intense. The clone Pokemon have evened out the numbers as they make their way to Mewtwo, but Giovanni has stepped in, and this turns the tide of the battle. As Giovanni releases his 6 personal Pokemon, he basically told them to attack everyone that is not in Team Rocket attire. Persian, Rhydon, Nidoking, Machamp, Golem, and his own Kangaskhan all begin to attack. Brock's Steelix, Aerodactyl, and his Kangaskhan manage to put up a good fight and push back the grunts and some of Giovanni's Pokemon. But Misty, Poliwag, and Staryu are fending off the Machamp that has gone after some of the clones. Machamp is particularly attacking the clone Gyarados. Misty steps in to defend it with her Poliwag, but it's not enough. Poliwag gets knocked back quickly, and then Machamp goes after Misty. Staryu tries to step in, but it is too dealt with easily by Machamp. Misty is in trouble. Machamp jumps in to attack her. Misty shuts her eyes out of fear for what seems to be like an eternity, but nothing happens. Misty opens her eyes back up, and Machamp has stopped because of a glow that has captured its attention. It's Poliwag. In order to protect Misty, it started to evolve. Now, as a Poliwhirl, it uses its new power to put Machamp down. Misty rushes to Poliwhirl, excited that it evolved to protect her. This whole interaction has captured the attention of the clone Gyarados. Over with Brock, he and the other clones are starting to tire with all of the battling. Giovanni and his Golem have started to take out Brock's Pokemon, the only one left being Steelix. Misty rushes to Brock's side with Staryu, Gyarados, and her new Poliwhirl, but this still isn't enough. Their combined attempt to free Mewtwo is failing, as the Team Rocket Grunts have started to recapture the clones. Giovanni prepares to make his final attack on Brock and Steelix, but it is interrupted by a Thunderbolt and a flamethrower. Giovanni looks up, and there in the sky is Ash with Charizard and Pikachu, and they are fully healed. This draws Giovanni's full attention. He took out both of those Pokemon, and yet there they are, fully healed. Ash tells Giovanni to leave this place and the clone Pokemon alone. Go now, and they will not be turned in to the proper authorities. Giovanni again laughs at how naive Ash is. Giovanni says, "Listen, boy, I hold all the cards, and you're giving me an ultimatum? You failed once, and you will fail again." But this time, Giovanni is at a disadvantage. He lost half of his Pokemon, and he only has Rhydon, Golem, and Persian. Ash and Giovanni start their battle for the second time. Ash sends in Bayleaf and Wartortle to even the odds out. Ash orders Pikachu and Gligar to free the clones and Mewtwo. Gligar and Pikachu are successful in freeing everyone, and in a combined effort, they manage to free Mewtwo, which causes the rocket grunts to flee as they fear its power. But what they don't know is Mewtwo is very weak and cannot fight. While this is going on, Bayleaf and Wartortle manage to take out Rhydon and Persian. This leaves Giovanni with just Golem, and Charizard is bent on taking it down. It's a matter of pride with the Fire Lizard at this point. With Giovanni now outmatched, he starts making mistakes in the battle, and Ash sees this. He's flustered. Brock and Misty rush to Ash, telling him about Mewtwo. Ash knows what needs to be done. He orders Charizard to handle Golem and Giovanni. Ash then runs off. He gets to Mewtwo, and with the help of Bayleaf, he takes it up to the spring that healed Charizard and Pikachu. Once there, Ash intends to throw Mewtwo into the spring, but Colin protests, as Mewtwo being a clone and not natural could contaminate the whole spring and its source. Ash tells him it doesn't matter. It is the only way that they can heal Mewtwo, and it needs it right now. Ash then throws in Mewtwo. After what seems to be an eternity, Mewtwo emerges from the water, glowing with new life. And with this new life, it uses its psychic powers to move the oasis and everyone who wants to protect it below Mount Cana, leaving Giovanni, Colin, Luna, and the rest of Team Rocket's forces wondering what happened. After some deep discussion with Ash, Mewtwo sees that the clones can no longer hide. They need to live in the world as they are part of it. Mewtwo uses its psychic powers to erase the memory of it and the clones from everyone wishing to cause them harm. Mewtwo then sends the clones all across the Pokemon world to live their lives, all except for two, the clone Gyarados and the clone Charizard. The Gyarados, after seeing Misty risk it herself to protect it wants to join her, which Misty does with no hesitation, and the clone Charizard has decided to remain on Mount Cana to protect the hidden oasis from anyone who seeks it out in the future. With that, the trio set off to their next destination with the events of Giovanni fresh in their minds. A week later, they arrive at their destination, the Charcific Valley, the site of some of the strongest wild Charizard in the world. After a battle in which Ash and Charizard lose, they again plead with Liza to allow it to train in the valley. Then, after an attack from Team Rocket that is foiled by Ash and his Charizard, proving its potential, Liza and the wild Charizard accept Ash's Charizard to train in the valley. But with the threat of Giovanni still fresh in Ash's mind, he opts to remain in the valley with Charizard to train his other Pokemon as well. But not everyone is okay with this. Brock. He came to Johto because he wanted to meet Professor Elm, and as a result, he decides that while Ash is training, he's going to head to Newbark Town to meet him. Misty decides to stay with Ash as the valley offers a lot of great places to work with water Pokemon as well. Brock and Ash decide to meet up with each other in Violet City in 2 months' time, and with that, they part ways, with Ash focused on training for his next encounter with the leader of Team Rocket. Now we switch over to Team Gary, and they have arrived in Violet City after a few weeks of traveling. Along the way, Ethan and Gary have gotten the chance to train with each other, while Marina has met and documented every detail of every Pokemon she's met. The two newbie trainers have begun to grow on Gary, as he never realized how great it was to have company while traveling. His old cheerleading squad, well, they were all suck-ups, and they couldn't really offer anything as far as helping to train, or they weren't really much for conversation. So this new experience has been great. Ethan, in this time, has managed to capture some Pokemon to get his team up to the count of 4. His Cyndaquil has evolved into a Quilava because of his training with Gary, and he has also added a Bellsprout that he caught at the Sprout Tower, a Weedle that evolved into a Beedrill, and a Sentret. The trio head to the gym in Violet City. Gary tells Ethan that he should be the one that challenges first, as it would give him the chance to see the battle style of the gym leader. Ethan is okay with this, as Gary is a more experienced trainer, and Ethan is curious as he only knows 2 of Gary's Pokemon, his Blastoise and his Eevee, as those are the only 2 he's used in training. So he's excited to see what his self-appointed mentor and the rest of his Pokemon have in store. Once inside the gym, Gary meets Faulkner, the leader who specializes in the flying type. Gary is okay with this, as he has already had a plan in his head. The 2 trainers take their positions, and Faulkner sends in his first Pokemon, Hoot Hoot. Gary leads with his Eevee. This battle is very quick. Faulkner does his best to demonstrate Hoot Hoot's power, but Eevee proves to be a much more formidable opponent and takes down Hoot Hoot with minimal effort. Next, Faulkner sends in his Dodrio, and its intense battling style puts Eevee down rather quickly. Gary decides what his next Pokemon is going to be, and as a matter of fact, it's something that he's used very little. It actually hasn't battled at all. Gary sends it in, Elekid. Ethan is surprised Elekid isn't something he's seen before. Gary must have caught it before he met, he thinks to himself. The second battle starts, and even though Elekid has the type advantage, Dodrio is still more experienced, and it manages to put Elekid down. Gary is disappointed, but not surprised. He needs more time with it. Unshaken, Gary sends in his final Pokemon, Blastoise. The Titan Turtle fires a Hydro Pump, one-shotting Dodrio. Faulkner is impressed, but expected nothing less from the grandson of the great Professor Oak. So he matches Blastoise power with his Pidgeot. The battle starts, and it's obvious from the start that Blastoise won't go down easily. Its defense is formidable. Every attack Faulkner launches is deflected with minimum damage. This is Gary's game, to tire out Pidgeot, as Blastoise can't match its speed. And eventually, Pidgeot gets caught with a Hydro Pump, putting it down and earning Gary his first badge of the Johto region, the Zephyr badge. Later on at the Pokemon Center, after Gary heals his Pokemon, Ethan is racking his brain on a strategy on how to beat Faulkner. The realization of the gym challenge and its difficulty is setting in. Faulkner's speed of his flying types is scary. Gary tells Ethan that he needs to calm down. Ethan looks at Gary. Gary says, "Did I use speed to win my battle? No. I used my Pokemon's advantages to control the battle, to get the win. You need to do the same." So with that, the two sit down and start to form a plan of attack. The next day, Ethan challenges the gym with Gary and Marina watching from the sidelines. Faulkner leads with his Hoot Hoot again. Ethan figured this would happen, so he sends in his Sentret. This battle is a bit drawn out. Gary told Ethan that Faulkner would lead with Hoot Hoot to gauge Ethan's skill, then he would choose his Pokemon from there. This battle plays out in Faulkner's favor, with Hoot Hoot winning. Ethan then leads with his next Pokemon, Beedrill. Beedrill is able to take out Hoot Hoot, as it is faster. Faulkner then decides to throw Ethan a curveball, and he sends in something completely different, a Gligar. Ethan chooses to stick with Beedrill, and this battle comes down to the wire, eventually resulting in a double knockout. Then the moment comes that Ethan was most worried about. Faulkner readies his last Pokemon and sends it in, but this Pokemon is not the Pidgeot he thought he would face. It is instead a metallic looking sleek bird. Ethan then uses his Pokedex to learn that this Pokemon is a steel type known as Skarmory. Gary yells to Ethan that it's in your favor. Not knowing what Gary meant, Ethan sends in Quilava. This battle gets underway. Even though Quilava has the type advantage and Ethan eventually figures it out, the difference between Ethan and Faulkner's battle experience becomes apparent quickly, pushing Quilava to the edge with it barely holding on. But Skarmory did take a few flame wheels in the process. It comes down to the final attack. Quilava starts to glow. Ethan doesn't know what this is, but Quilava still wants to fight, so he orders a flame wheel that connects with Skarmory, knocking it out and earning Ethan the Zephyr badge. Gary stares at the glow of Quilava intensely and is intrigued, as he and Marina congratulate Ethan on his win. Later on at the Pokemon Center, it comes to the point that the group has to decide their next destination. Ethan, under the impression that Gary still wants to part ways, asks what his next move is. Gary tells Ethan that he was thinking that they could travel together a little while more, as he is interested in studying his Quilava after seeing it today. Ethan doesn't even think twice and accepts this chance to continue to travel with Gary. With that, Team Gary decides their next stop will be the gym in Azalea Town. And that's all we have for part 2. Man, this one felt really long. From the writing of the script to the recording to the editing, everything, it just felt like it took forever to get this one done. But I think the story is shaping up in a very interesting way. What do you guys think about the story? How do you feel about Ash's encounter with Giovanni and his realization that just because he's the champion doesn't mean that he is the strongest one out there, and his realization that Giovanni is an actual threat? And how do you feel about Ash's Bayleaf evolving and his choice to stay in the Charcific Valley to train while Brock heads to New Barktown? And also, how do you feel about Gary and Ethan's gym battles? Gary being his usual confident self and kind of acting as a mentor for Ethan and helping him get his way through the gym battle. And of course, how do you feel about Ethan's Quilava and that strange glow that it had that's intrigued Gary so much? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure to drop a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. It'll really help the channel get to a larger audience. And if you guys like more Pokemon What If content and you're planning to start your own, or you just want to talk with people that think about Pokemon all the time, please join the Discord in the link below, as there's a lot of people in there that have the same mindset that you do. And also, if you want to see things that I'm working on behind the scenes in real time, please follow me on Twitter, as I post things that I'm doing there in real time so you can see what is actually being worked on. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and that's all I have for you today. I'm Ronin Charizard, and I'll see you in the next video.